Well, hi, everybody, and a very pleasant and beautiful day to you out here in East County or wherever you might be. This is Steve Dolan on Dolan's Dugout along with Ramon Scott. And Moni, what a weekend. Of course, Dodgers took 2 out of 3 for the Padres. We can say the Padres could have won all 3. If you're the Dodgers, you could say they could have won all 3. Just a real quick recap. Friday night, the Dodgers went 11-6 in 12 innings. Why'd the Padres lose? Well, big part, they went 0 for 9 with runners in scoring position in extra innings. Saturday, of course, the 2-0 game. I thought that would be a double by Tommy Pham to tie the game in the bottom of the 9th. Great catch by Mookie Betts, wins the game for the Dodgers. Yesterday, the Padres win 5-2. So, of course, if you're a Padre fan, you say, well, they could have won all 3. But if you're a Dodger fan, you say, well, they could have won all 3 except for that throwing error by shortstop Corey Seager that led to 3 unearned runs. Dodgers win 2 out of 3. Padres go back to L.A. for 4 this coming weekend. First of all, we want to get to that. And Ramon Scott, what was your feeling about the whole series this weekend?
Well, I wasn't happy about it. If that's an easy answer, Steve, it's a lot more complicated than that. I don't think you were making me any promises about winning this series, and you tried to convince me that it wasn't that important. It was just a 3-game series in early April, but I don't know. Listening to some of the fans, they might have taken a little more seriously than maybe you and I kind of encouraged them to, especially as the first 2 games wore on, right? And it looked like we were down 2-0 already on our home turf against these guys, but able to get that victory yesterday, a needed victory. I'm sorry, Steve. I can't ignore the maybe the fans' storyline in this series. Every single game is going to be important. I don't want to understate it anymore. I think it's a little bit overplayed as far as saying I'm not criticizing you for saying what you're saying. I think it's the most realistic view, but obviously it was very, very important, and I hope that everyone doesn't forget that we have 3 games on tap over the next 3 days before we play the blue team again, and I hope the team knows that too.
Well, they definitely know. They definitely know the Milwaukee Brewers are in town. Now, Ramon, I know you're good with odds. Speaking of, people who say, oh, that I took it too lightly. It's only, when I say it's only April. Let me ask you something. What would the odds be of the American League division winners being the Seattle Mariners, the Kansas City Royals, and the Boston Red Sox? Because those are the 3 teams that are in first place right now in mid-April. So if the Padres-Dodgers first series is the end-all to be all and all that, then I guess the American League playoffs, we're going to have Seattle, Kansas City, and Boston. Is that right or no?
No, fair enough. Fair enough. It just the tension was palpable in all 3 games, and it was pins and needles. Don't take your eye off the screen at any moment because you never know what you might miss, and that was the case. And I don't know where to start with the games, from the dust-ups between the 2 teams, the great plays. Yes, the miscues on both sides, Steve. Like you said, hey, it's early April. Maybe it was miscues that actually determined each and every game. If you take a look deeply at the series, the ball playing was almost perfect on all accounts until those key moments where the mistakes were made. And maybe in extra innings, Steve, we should just start with the bases loaded to make it even a little bit more easier. The Padres and Dodgers couldn't decide it, through those first several extra innings. So, a little bit of criticism there from me on these rules, but 7-inning doubleheaders, this is the direction we're going. Put a man on second base. That didn't help when the game kind of got out of hand there with the 5 runs that the Dodgers picked up. But I'm not disappointed. I think we got our money's worth. I think everyone is clear on that. Still today, it was the most talked about baseball story of the season with the talking heads nationally.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, don't get me wrong. It was a big series, obviously. But again, I try to put it in perspective that the season right now is about a little over 10% over. But again, you want to beat the Dodgers. But Ramon, let's look at some of the good and the bad, what's going on with the Padres. the good. How about Manny Machado? He's been on base in 16 straight games. 2 for 2 against Trevor Bauer. The Dodgers, one of the three aces yesterday. He's 12 for 19 against Bauer in his career. Remember, Manny started slow last year, and then he caught fire, which he's starting to do now. He was the number 3 player in the National League last year in the MVP race. So I think Manny's starting to be Manny again. And another guy who's really, really, really great in pressure, Eric Hosmer. The last 2+ seasons batting .420 with 2 outs and a runner in scoring position. And of course, yesterday in that situation, he got the game-winning hit. So Machado, Hosmer, pluses there. Couple things that maybe not so good. If you don't like the Dodgers, they're 13-3 right now. Best start ever for a team coming off a World Series championship. And a couple things the Padres maybe you might want to be concerned about. Fernando Tatis Jr. over the weekend, 1 for 13, struck out 6 times, made 2 errors. And another thing, too, Blake Snell came over here as one of the Padres' 2 aces. He throws too many pitches. He threw 95 pitches to 19 batters yesterday. That's an average 5 pitches per batter. 10 3-ball counts to 19 batters. More than half the time he's going to 3 balls. That's been Snell's history. He's a 5-inning pitcher at best. I mean, somehow, some way, somewhere along the line, as good as he is, he's got to stop nibbling and start giving the Padres more length. Those are just some of my impressions from the weekend. I don't know. What do you think?
No, you hit it on all counts with that. And when you're facing a juggernaut right now, I mean, any little mistake, anything that you don't do better than them is going to be exploited eventually by the Dodgers. And, I wasn't sure that we were going to be able to get that last game yesterday. Even everything just kind of seemed to break for them perfectly when we finally got the momentum that we needed in the late innings yesterday. It did feel like we were going to be able to put them away, especially given how well the bullpen has done. And look at the pitching, Steve, on both sides. Got the 2 best staffs in all of baseball. So what can we do? We can only be right now the 2nd best team in baseball. Unfortunately, we're in 3rd place in the division, but this series notwithstanding, we'll see what we can do with the Brewers over the next 3 days. Games that you're at home, you need to win these. You need to win them all if we're not going to be able to take the season series with the Dodgers. And of course, like I said, come Thursday, we're going back up to L.A. We can get together on Thursday or Friday, whichever we're going to do, and talk about that then. But it's lingering in the back of your mind, and it's going to be talked about through the series. When you're watching the series, there's going to be talk about the Dodger series coming up, not just promotional talk. It's just something that's in the background all the time right now. And it's great. That's what we want. This is going to be an incredible summer.
Yeah, and Ramon, one thing I am concerned about over the years, as you know, baseball's top rivalry, as much as I hate hearing about it over and over and over again, is the Red Sox-Yankees. And one thing that tends to happen when the Red Sox play the Yankees, both teams tend to do not so well in the next series because they've gone all out against each other. So let's hope that doesn't happen this week. But one thing that let's hope does happen this week, Tommy Pham. He's had a horrible start, but I mean, look at Saturday night, though. Mookie Betts robbed him of what should have been a game-tying double. And what I really liked in the 8th inning yesterday, Hosmer's single to his typical 2 outs, runners in scoring position. Of course, Hosmer comes through, but then Tommy Pham comes up with a 2-run double. Maybe Tommy Pham is starting to break out of it a little bit. I mean, you and I both know Tommy Pham's history. He's a very good player. Hasn't shown it yet in San Diego. Of course, last year being hurt so much, and this year the poor start. Maybe Tommy Pham's starting to catch fire now too. They could certainly use that.
Yeah, I'm not going to necessarily toss Pham aside right now. I'm going to chalk everything up to that injury that took so much of his season away, and the fact that it was the shortened season and all that. He hasn't been able to get his career necessarily on track here, but we were expecting him to be such an important part of this team. He's still in a position where he has to prove himself, and those few players right now that are struggling, Pham, Tatis, those are the players that we're going to need to be able to step up in order to take us over the top. But those things will all work out in due time. As far as Fernando is concerned, I think we saw exactly what you and I might have been expecting. Maybe the fans certainly were expecting more. I'm not going to say we're expecting 1 for 13. He had the home run. He didn't show any discomfort, like we said, Steve. You're always thinking about it, however, so that could limit your ability to fully, quote unquote, extend yourself. He made diving attempts. He swung the bat with both hands, as you've noted on there. But if that's not your prototypical swing, where you're looking to drive the ball, that ball he hit was a rocket shot. What we've come to expect when he makes that contact, his exit velocity is some of the best, especially for any shortstop, but some of the best at getting off the bat. So just going to need time. Fernando's going to need time. But everyone else is kind of in sync. It's kind of great, kind of neat to see. And I'll talk about the catch, Steve Mookie's catch, playing out of position really, because we, without another top player on that team in Bellinger right now, sidelined with a little bit of an injury. But for Mookie to go on, and he made the catch. I mean, it lands in the palm of your glove. It wasn't a fluky catch. I mean, when you make a full extension dive, sometimes you try to put the glove where the ball is going to land. I'm a guy who does some diving catches still now and then, even at my age, and sometimes the ball just lands right where you put that glove, where you aimed your glove. And what a player! What a player! He's kind of the difference right now, maybe between these two clubs. That and their pitching a little bit better than ours. Hats off to another guy that we don't like, Clayton Kershaw. Right now, we want to criticize him. We want to say, you're on the downside of your career, buddy. You're getting old. Well, this has been not only vintage Clayton Kershaw, but for him to get off to a start like this. He's not a guy, kind of like some of the players you mentioned, Steve. He's not a guy that necessarily comes out full throttle. But right now, Kershaw's on the top of his game, and that's I'm never going to root for someone to wear down or get injured, but hopefully he's just going hard right now and fatigue. Let's just say fatigue, not injured, but boy, he's looking sharp. Huh.
Yes, Ramon, definitely. I thought, in Saturday's 2-0 game, like you say, the two things that stood out for the Dodgers were how well Kershaw pitched and Mookie Betts' catch down the game. It's interesting because I heard that the probability of Betts making that catch was 10%. And one thing you got to remember about Mookie Betts, he actually came up as a second baseman with the Red Sox. And they just happened to have a guy there named Dustin Pedroia, which meant Betts went to the outfield. And look what he's made of himself in the outfield, because he really, really, really has done well out there. I mean, again, that play Saturday was just unbelievable. But you mentioned also with the Dodgers, injuries, Bellinger being out. And with the Padres, it was interesting yesterday because 2/3 of their outfield was hurt. Will Myers had the bad knee, so he didn't start. Trent Grisham was actually in the lineup, and then an hour and a half before the game, he was taken out of the lineup because he pulled up lame Saturday. I thought one thing that was interesting was how Jace Tingler handled Grisham and Myers yesterday. In the 7th inning, the Dodgers had a right-handed pitcher out there, so he put Grisham up to pinch hit, knowing the Dodgers would bring in the left-hander, Scott Alexander, and knowing that Grisham probably wasn't ready to play. So, of course, then Grisham comes out and Myers goes in. So I thought that was good strategy by Jace Tingler, although Myers didn't get a hit because Grisham wasn't going to play yesterday, but they used him as a decoy. I thought that was great. And, who knows? I mean, going forward, does Myers and Grisham both play tonight against Milwaukee? I guess that's just a wait and see. But, of course, in their place, you had Mateo in center and Jurickson Profar in right field. Oh, my gosh. Talk about as good a utility player as there is. First base, second base, left field, right field, you name it. He plays there. He does well.
I'm kind of embarrassed for my own projection for Profar. I always liked him at Texas, and when he came to the team, I expected him to be a nice surprise for us and to be a big contributor, actually, maybe kind of exceeding fans' expectations, because he had been such a starter, but a player who could play other positions when he was with the Rangers. And then when he, didn't necessarily wow people when he came over. It's hard to do that sometimes given the role he has. Some of the fans were just saying, they almost kind of kicked him to the curb a little bit, and I kind of jumped on with the fans. I wasn't saying, lose Profar, but I was like, well, maybe I was wrong about the type of player he is. And to see him perform like this right now, I mean, he started on every team in the league pretty much. And you mentioned Mookie's transition to center field in that game or to the outfield, but I mean, he walks out into center field even right now, and he's one of the elite center fielders in the game. It's not even his position. That's how great of an athlete and a ball player he is. Don't sell him short on that, right? We think of him, maybe as a great athlete because of the things that he can do. But man, this guy's a heady ball player. You wish you had him on your team. And also, I'll also give kudos, Steve, to one Dave Roberts. Did a great job actually this weekend, and Tingler also a good job there. These guys matching wits, and they even got to get into it a little bit with with that crazy play. I did want to talk to you about that before we move on, but Roberts, nice job. Kind of looking back on it, I kind of wish the Padres would have made a run at Roberts. He was aiming to be a major league manager. He took an analytical approach to his style of mentorship that he wanted to get into. He was a guy when he was doing some coaching here who would really dive into the numbers, the videos, all that stuff, kind of like from the Gwynn school a little bit as well. But I don't know if the Padres just didn't think that was going to be for them. But, right now he's gotten a lot of criticism. But right now Dave Roberts doing a pretty good job.
Yeah, and Ramon, going back to why the Padres did not hire Dave Roberts to be their manager for the 2016 season, basically after 2015 when they had fired Buddy Black, not quite midway through the season, and then, from there they just fell apart. Going into 2016, basically the Padres wanted to go out of the organization, start anew, and that's why they brought in Andy Green, who'd been, with the Diamondbacks, to be their manager. And now you look back 5 years later, probably a big mistake. But then again, when Jace Tingler came here last year, I could be honest, I didn't like the hire. I thought they should have hired Ron Washington, who had managerial experience with the Rangers. But now, with what I've seen of Tingler, 37-23 last year, 10-7 this year, I think, he's sometimes guys get these jobs you've never heard of. I think he's solid. I think, Tingler's going to be here for years to come, and rightfully so.
Yeah, well, I like personality, I think, first and foremost. That's the kind of person I identify with. Andy Green, I certainly appreciated his enthusiasm for the game, but Tingler's the guy that I would more identify with as a ball player, I think. And now not everybody, different strokes for different folks, but what I see and hear from Tingler, I mean, I try to watch every press conference of his, and with Green, I was tuning out. So I don't know if that says anything about it. I mean, I'm a kind of guy that kind of likes the interviews sometimes as much as the games. I think you know why. That's how we kind of get a feel for really what's going on. But to me, Tingler always with his candid remarks, sometimes honest and critical, but yet forthright and honest. I'll say again, honest, because that's what I think you get from him. So, Steve, just want to talk to you. You're a rules guru as well, and I want to talk to you about that crazy play that set things off. I say set things off. I mean, they kind of run out and kind of get in each other's face, but everybody's laughing a few minutes later because the respect between these two teams right now. There's a little bit of animosity and a blue blood, if you will. But, Steve, you get a player who obviously just battling at the plate, maybe feeling like he has to possibly cover the plate and make a contact again to foul another one off to keep that at-bat alive, really struggling in that at-bat, gets so down low, leans in because sometimes you got to flick that ball just to make that contact. Catcher extends his glove. It's not a swing, but the contact is made. It's always going to be catcher's interference, no matter how you look at it, no matter how Clayton Kershaw looks at it. You can put him on a million memes on Twitter with his reaction. The rule is the rule. Now, maybe that one, you talk about these rule changes, maybe a player should actually have to swing the bat to cause catcher interference. But remember, if there's a runner on base, that's sometimes why catcher's interference happens too, when a catcher pops up out of his stance. So that's also part of the rule, even though it's made to the rule is intended because the batter couldn't make a swing. So, Steve, tell me about the play. Who was right? Who was wrong? And that whole dust-up.
Well, quite frankly, what happened, Jurickson profile on what would have been strike three, he put the bat way back and, just touched the glove of the catcher. Gotta be honest with you, because the umpires did look at it. They could have overturned it. They could have said he did it on purpose. Even our announcers, Mark Grant and Don Orsillo with the Padres, kind of admitted on the air that maybe Profar did do that on purpose. I mean, the umpires did look at it. They can overrule it if they want. And I thought what was interesting, I mean, I know Clayton Kershaw is very religious and all, and he used the word bull something or other twice. You could read his lips when he's yelling at Profar. So I've never seen Clayton Kershaw use that language.
It was a BS swing.
He was pretty upset.
It was a BS swing. Can we say that on YouTube?
It was definitely a BS swing, according to Kershaw. And frankly, I think most people saw it that way. But the umpires, not the umpires, but the replay officials in New York didn't see it that way. So carry on.
Is that a little bit of Tim Flannery in there? Is that something Flan would have come up with?
Oh, definitely. I just thought, it was kind of funny afterwards because, these teams, as much as they hate each other, these guys also respect each other. They go through a lot, like Eric Hosmer was saying after yesterday's game. After every game against the Dodgers, you're just exhausted because, again, guys like me may try to downplay it because it's only April. But on the other hand, it's a big, like Justin Turner of the Dodgers says, it's a 19-game World Series against the Padres. So when these games are done, so are the players. They're done. They're spent.
Yeah, and I think I'm not going to criticize Kershaw for giving Profar the business a little bit if he felt like there was this little bit of gamesmanship, because you can't necessarily yell at the umpires. Like you said, maybe they could overturn that, but a rule is a rule. And I think Kershaw knew that he had to direct his anger towards Profar because may have circumvented the rules a little bit in order to get that. We were struggling at that moment and really needed something against Kershaw. So, hey, Steve, you've seen a lot of ball games over the years, and we've seen catcher's interference, happen. But every time you see it, with that crazy rule, it's always a little bit different. There's always a little bit something going on, and no problem. I'll say this, Steve. I'm not saying that there will be punches thrown before the season's over, but it's not going to be the last time that the players meet inside the white lines.
Oh, yeah. You remember last year in the playoffs, I mean, with Gratterall of the Dodgers, of all people, being a rookie, throwing his glove after Cody Bellinger made the great catch to rob Tatis of a home run. Yeah, it's gonna be emotional. And Ramon, in the time we have left, I wanted to talk a little bit about what's coming up, because we're kind of like being like most people are. We're just talking Dodgers, and rightfully so, because the Padres are playing 7 out of 10. What they've got to be aware of, all of us, there's a team coming to town called the Milwaukee Brewers, who are only a game out of first place in the National League Central. And you talk about the Padres. Of course, they faced the Dodgers, had 3 aces. They went with Walker Buehler, Clayton Kershaw, Trevor Bauer. The Brewers are going with 3 aces against the Padres. They've got Brandon Woodruff tonight. They've got Corbin Burns tomorrow. And you can say, Corbin Burns? Yeah, his ERA is 0.49. You can say, Brandon Woodruff tonight? He's allowed 1 run in his last 13 innings. And then Wednesday, they're pitching Adrian Hauser, whose ERA is all of 3.14. And what's going to be interesting, Ramon, against the Brewers, for the Padres pitching, of course, tonight, Grossmont High Zone Joe Musgrove. Look at Musgrove, 2-1, 0.47 ERA. It'll be his first pitching assignment in San Diego since his no-hitter. He's going tonight. What I find interesting is, what are the Padres going to do the next 2 days? They can bring Dinelson Lamet back tomorrow to pitch Sunday against the Dodgers in LA, or they could pitch Chris Paddock tomorrow and go with Lamet Wednesday to pitch Paddock Sunday against the Dodgers in LA. There's arguments both ways for what they're going to do. I mean, it is Paddock's turn, and Lamet would pitch Wednesday. Paddock doesn't do well against the Dodgers. That's why you may want to push him back to Wednesday. Why would you want to push Lamet back to Wednesday? Well, he's coming off an injury. And Ramon, what scares me about guys coming off injuries, look at Mike Clevenger last year in the playoffs against the Dodgers. They started him, and he only went barely an inning. What if you bring Lamet back Tuesday and then bring him back Sunday against the Dodgers. And in one of those starts, he can't go very far. Then all of a sudden, the bullpen again. So I'm not sure which way they're going to go. I just, despite Paddock's struggles against the Dodgers, I just stay in rotation. I go with, because again, in LA, you're going to have the Padres. You're going to have their top two pitchers. Thursday, you got Darvish. Friday, you got Snell. And, of course, Saturday, you got one of their top one, maybe, and that's Joe Musgrove out of Grossmont High. So Sunday on ESPN, Lamet, Paddock, who's it going to be? I don't know, but it's going to be an interesting decision.
Well, obviously, we're just a few hours away probably from getting the official word. I would think that they will announce it in the pregame today, and I would think that likely Dinelson Lamet will be tomorrow's starter against the Brewers. That's my expectation, and we excited to see that. We need this. We need all of our guys to get healthy. We know we still got some more coming in to join the roster as well. So good series against the Brewers, and yes, the Brewers are definitely playing well. So don't want to overlook these guys. Steve, you mentioned Musgrove. We talked about it last week in depth. We're almost done with the show, but I just got to mention the irony. With all the football schedule, the prep football season ended, but with the scheduling switch that they went through, right? Santa Fe Christian ended up playing Grossmont this past Friday. So Eric Grupner, the Padres CEO, his son is a quarterback for SFC. I wonder if they came down and were able to check out that beautiful new mural of Joe on the side of the building there at Grossmont maybe a couple hours before the game. I imagine that they probably wanted to check that out. I don't know if Grupner might have went out there for that first day back on Wednesday when they first displayed that beautiful mural, but sure they had to go check it out.
Well, one thing about Eric Grupner, you got to remember the night that Joe Musgrove pitched the no-hitter, Eric Grupner was at Santa Fe Christian's game because, like you say, his son's the quarterback there. So he was actually watching his son play and listening to the Padres at the same time. Because let's face it, the Padres are his family, but his son is his family. Family, the son comes first, certainly. And, again, I'm sure Eric was out there, like you say, last Wednesday when they put the mural up of Musgrove. One thing, Ramon, I want to say that was interesting with Joe Musgrove. Yesterday at the ball game when I was there, as you know, I do the statistics for Valley Sports San Diego and love working with Don Orsillo and Mark Grant. But I saw a fan before the game had on the same colored jersey as when Musgrove pitched the no-hitter. On the back, Musgrove's number 44, and it said, "No, Joe." So if you're a fan, if you want that no-hitter jersey of Musgrove, they're out there.
Oh, no doubt about it. I've already seen people who already have like shrines in their home with the headline from the newspaper and Sports Illustrated or different publications that showed it, put them in frames and everything in their homes already. So people just so excited for that moment. They're gonna here it is. We're gonna see it. I think we're gonna get. Are you showing it, Steve?
This is my scorecard. That's my scorecard from the day that Musgrove pitched the no-hitter. There it is.
I have a feeling that is set aside. That's going to end up in a frame. It's probably going to end up as part of your background before the season's over.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I mean, I've got in there, when I did the playoffs last year with the American League here with the Yankees and Rays and the Astros and Rays, but none of them are as important as that score sheet. Joe Musgrove, first no-hitter in the history of the San Diego Padres. Well, Ramon, hey, thank you so much for being with us today. Just a reminder, as you know, like you say, the Padres start a 4-game series Thursday in LA. So this week, our next Facebook Live show will be Thursday at 11 a.m. And I want to give you the last word because you've done a great job today.
Well, hey, let's take care of business against the Brewers. We lost the last 2 series right now, Steve. We want a sweep. No one can call for a sweep in pro baseball. So let's grab this series from the Brewers and head into that series. Steve, did you want to get together Thursday or Friday? We're going to go Friday?
Want to do a Thursday? Let's do Thursday. The first game of the series.
We were going to talk about it probably after the show, but I think we got to pin you down before the series. So far, we've been on the preview each series, and we're going to be so fired up. Like you said, let's not overlook this Brew crew. They're looking good. They're playing some good ball.
Well, Ramon, thanks again for being with me. And like you say, let's do it Thursday morning at 11, since that'll be the start of the Dodgers series. You have a great week, and I'll look forward to being back with you then.
Go Pods!